Hello summoners, and welcome to the Mobalytics top 5 animation cancels and cool mechanics in League of Legends. This video will introduce you to 5 specific animation cancels and mechanics that you should understand while playing League of Legends. Note that not all of these are general and a few of them are champion specific, but especially when talking about using flash to cancel animations, this is vital for success and this trick will work on most champions. Before we start, let's just talk about why animation canceling matters and is important. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that animation canceling or knowing how your mechanics work does not really matter too much, especially in lower ranks, but that is a common misconception. You should always look to play your champion and use your abilities in the cleanest way possible, and most of these tricks will give your opponent far less time to react than they otherwise would have. To give you a perfect example of this, let's get into our number 1 mechanic, which is using flash to cancel animations. Knowing when you use your abilities in combination with flash is huge because what happens is that most of the abilities in the game do have a wind-up time or a time in which the ability's animation is essentially dead time. Using flash, you can completely shorten or remove this dead time, as well as certain abilities you can increase their effective range, such as a Jarvan EQ or a Vi Q. Taking Caitlyn's R as a basic example, a player who is smart and understands how this mechanic works will understand that in every situation, if you are definitely going to commit to using your flash and your ultimate, it is always more efficient to cast your R first and then immediately flash, rather than doing the reverse order. This is because Caitlyn's R has a roughly quarter second to half a second wind-up time that can be completely cancelled with your flash. Doing it this way will always give your opponent less time to react to your movement and your abilities, and if you flash first and try to press your R second, you will end up having to see the entire animation and your overall play becomes infinitely more predictable. Our next example is using a Darius Q, and this one doesn't have too much to do with cutting off his Q animation, but rather a more efficient way to use it. When using Darius's Q, you want to hit the enemy with the edge of the blade rather than the hilt. This is because it gives you much more damage and heals you as Darius. If somebody was out of the range, you could in theory flash and then try to hit them with the Q, or what you could do is channel your Q first and then instantly flash to reposition. This will help you guarantee the hit exactly where you want your Q to go and giving you the edge, as this is much harder to predict from your enemy's perspective. All of this has to do with the fact that flash is instantaneous, and even on 0 ping, it can become very hard to predict when your opponent is going to flash, unlike some abilities where it's pretty easy to see when Darius is using his Q. Next up, let's do Ezreal. Did you know that your ultimate has a unique mechanic in that it kinda looks like it has a cast time, but it actually doesn't? This can be shown by using your own flash while casting your R, or if an enemy displaces you, or you even die. In all of these situations, your ultimate will still go through. The True Shot Barrage will hold you in place for a few frames, which is why it does look like it has a cast time, but if you're able to start the channel, it will go through no matter what you do. This also allows you to do a very tricky combo with Ez, where you can shift, press your R, and then flash back to where you just were. It kinda looks fancy and might be a little bit overboard in some situations, but it does allow you to get a little spicy. When playing Yasuo, your E is a fixed distance, which means that no matter how close or far you are from your target, you will always travel the same distance. You can use this to your advantage, and we've all seen Yasuos go over walls in the jungle by standing very close to the jungle camps. But did you know that there's a way to almost guarantee that it will go over every single time with the Krug camp? When playing Yasuo, try this. Line yourself up to be able to E the bigger Krug, do your EQ spin on the big Krug, and then this will position the smaller Krug almost perfectly to always go over the wall with another E. It might take a bit of practice, but once you get it down, it becomes nearly automatic. As with many other champions, Yasuo also has a few flash tricks. Typically, the Yasuo player will want to flash and then EQ to get in range of the opponent so you can hit your knockup. However, as soon as you flash, this does give your enemy a chance to flash away so that they don't get knocked up. This gives you room as Yasuo to practice something pretty tricky. What you can do on Yasuo is have your knockup ready, EQ to a minion, and then quickly flash to reposition the knockup, allowing you to use your ultimate. This will take some practice for sure, but it's definitely highly rewarding if you can do it properly. Caitlyn has some interesting interactions and gameplay mechanics while using her traps. The most important thing to know first and foremost is that the range of your trap is 800 and your 90 caliber net is 750. This means that because the trap range is higher than E, if you know you're going to hit your E, you can use E into W animation cancel as your E slows by 50% for a full second. This can help you guarantee that your trap hits, and it gives you double headshots. As Caitlyn, you can also EQ and Q headshot animation cancel with this, so a full combo looks insanely cool and has massive DPS potential. A quote from a challenger ADC and Caitlyn player named Riven is that you should look to auto and then press your W so that you can hide the W animation and mind game with auto attacks. Finally, let's go over Riven. Riven is the queen of animation cancels and combos, and she by far has the most intricate mechanics of any champion in the game when it comes to her kit. One of these mechanics alone is that you can do something called a double cast. Typically, Riven Key Burst holds you in place, and this means that the stun animation also briefly stuns her movement. The animation is a lock animation. But with Riven, players have discovered and practiced what is called the double cast, where you can use your E on Riven and then press W into Q to make sure that your W does not movement lock you. You can hide your W animation and mask it with your Q dash, and this is very useful as you still get to stun the enemy, you still get to deal the damage, but you don't hold yourself in place and you can close more distance towards someone or even go right through them to get behind them. To do it, you simply just press your E, wait a small amount of time, roughly half a second, and then quickly press W into Q. This has been the Mobalytics top 5 animation cancels and interesting mechanics. We hope that some of these mechanics and tips were helpful for you, and if they were, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Follow us on all our socials please, and make sure you check out the product at mobalytics.gg for the best way to get better at League of Legends. Anyway, thanks for watching.